Welcome to the PoPolitickin show. Founded in 2008, PoPolitickin is a hip-hop meets self-help brand. With each interview, we teach the babies and share success secrets with you, the listener. Past guests of the PoPolitickin show include Yo Gotti, Currency, MC Light, BG, Dead Prayers, Rashida, Project Pat, and more. We also showcase the future upcoming stars of hip-hop. Subscribe on iTunes and get automatic updates of each podcast episode.
You're listening to PoPolitickin.com. We got you stuck off the realness.
What's good, y'all? This is Von P of the almighty Tanya Morgan. And right now you're checking out the PoPolitickin show. Hip hop meets self-help. Yeah.
Hey, yo. She only play rap from the 90s and don't cook, but she live above a Chinese. I'm more 2000 and housing. And I gotta be honest, she could dance in Onyx, but look like Onyx. I wouldn't take her to a happy hour at Sonic. Oh shit, there goes my conscience. Lift up the Sisters King and drop knowledge. Fuck, I was just about to bring up Molly. Shucks, I at least spoke nice on the body. On the Today Show, looking like pesos. Now that I get paid more, treat it like a hobby. Clearly your brother got deafness, moxie, skills. Who the proxy? Who could stop me? Chill, reckless, restless, watch me build. Promptly till it's a monopoly. Jill, Scott B looking like Foxy. She been on my mind all week, y'all pardon me. Rap hit a generation gap and it lost me. Little niggas on their tour bus in the car seat. Minis. I'm working on raps for the 20s. Left with the rider and still hit Denny's. Crashed on the couch, barely knowing this bitty, but we clicked cause her mom's new biggie. Right like I come from my city, and transplants hate like it's nothing. So why you motherfuckers keep coming? Dirty ass flows I recorded on the Hudson. Then I export them and you bought them cause you order. I'm done, friend. Put a smile on your face.
Welcome back to PoPolitickin.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Make sure you download our app on iTunes, like, comment, subscribe, forward, share this interview. I'm now politicking my homie Von P. How you doing, bro?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. How you?
I'm great, man. So I feel like I've been knowing about you for a while because I actually, I don't know, ever since I started the show, I felt like I've been getting like material from Tanya Morgan. So even that name always kind of like stuck out to me. I was like, who is Tanya Morgan? So I've been knowing y'all for a while.
Yeah.
So the first day, I guess I want to talk about your name, Von P. What's the meaning behind that?
Man, well, long story. I guess to start from the beginning, growing up, of course, I was a big fan of A Tribe Called Quest, and so for a while, my friends would call me Tip. And you know, being a kid, you have your corny moments. So Tip turned into TIP, and I gave it an acronym as like the ill phenomenon. And after a while, then it turned just into Phenom. Then it became Von Phenom. Then it became Von, the letter P. Like, it was like a long journey, just, you know, years and years of the name gradually changing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went from the letter P to just PEA, because people would always ask, what did the P mean? And at this time, it didn't mean Phenom anymore. It just was the letter P. This was when I was like 18, 19. So one day, just on a whim, I just spelled it out. And I just ran with that. And so really, it's a graduation from being a Q-Tip fan to ending up being Von PEA, basically.
Did you see that rant Q-Tip had about the Grammys a little while ago?
Oh, absolutely.
What'd you feel about that since you're a Q-Tip fan?
To be honest, man, I felt like there's a lot of people that deserve them. I mean, in hip-hop and outside of hip-hop, I have a line on the song I didn't put out yet, and I was like, Snoop need his Grammy, Nas need his Grammy, and Tribe definitely does too. But you know what? Everybody's a child of Tribe, and when I say they need one, only because everybody else, it's this thing that's supposed to represent acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's not the end all be all, of course. None of these awards are. But it's a it's a nice acknowledgement. But with that said, when politics enter the game, it is what it is. So I look at it like it would be nice for them to have one, but if you can single out people and be like, hey, what happened? I thought we was getting nominated. Then that tells you it's not just about all the people, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then I want you to talk about your background a little bit. Let us know like how you got involved with music and how you fell in love with it.
Yeah, growing up, Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, I was, I guess, fortunate and also spoiled by hip hop just being everywhere. Where I speak to Don Will, who's in the group Tanya Morgan with me, and he talks about being from Cincinnati and how hip hop was, whether it was the West Coast NWA and those guys, the East Coast with Kane and Rakim and KRS and these guys back in the late '80s. He talks about how they seemed like just superstars and like they weren't real, and me being right there in the middle of it in Bed-Stuy, they still seemed like superstars. But at the same time, I can remember just thinking these are the guys outside. When I would watch TV, I watch Video Music Box or Rap City or Yom TV Raps, and I was like, the guys from outside are on TV. And as an adult now, I realize how special that was. I took it for granted at a young age, being being a hip hop kid and growing up watching all these shows. I never realized how much some people don't have representation on TV.
And then who would you say your top 5 is?
I just I go with Jay-Z number 1, being a kid from the neighborhood, literally from the same neighborhood, not Marcy Projects, but the neighborhood is more than just Marcy Projects, and so he's my number 1, and Black Thought is probably my number 2, and that's it. I stopped there.
That's what's up. And I would say, how do you describe your style? Because you was talking about Q-Tip earlier, and like I was listening to a lot of your stuff earlier, but I hear a lot of like bars, man. You be coming with it. So how do you describe your style?
Thank you, man. It's just a combination of everything I grew up in, from even mainstream stuff like being a teenager, but before it was broken down, like this is over here and that's over there. I was a fan of all the bad boy stuff, and I was a fan of every iteration of Nas, whether it was the Mafia Don or just the kid from Queens, because to me it was all the same. It was just good rapping, and I didn't really get into this person is rapping about this, or this is their image. I don't like you because you got a shiny suit on, or it was just, can you rap? And so yeah, I just grew up on who can rap, honestly, and I took a liking as I got a little bit older. I took a heavy liking to a lot of West Coast stuff, but I think it's based on more the guys, like, I guess from the blog era. I don't know if you want to call it that or what, but like the Big Pac Divs and Dom Kennedys and Blue and Exile and these guys, because I related directly to the type of beats they would rap to. It was like it was Dilla influence, but it still had that West Coast influence. And growing up on Death Row and Dre, I'm a big fan of that. And, all the TDE guys and a lot of like current West Coast. I would say West Coast stuff from the past, honestly, the past 10 years at this point.
I would say, what years do you say the blog era is?
Well, if I had to specify it from that, I would say like 06 to maybe 2012, maybe. Something like around. I would say that the height of it seems, was like
06.
around the time Little Brother got big, up until like Kendrick got big, maybe. Around those times were like the heights of it, and so yeah, just a lot of the West Coast guys from the past 10 years, my influence, and just, the same as everybody else, 90s hip hop, early 2000s hip hop, and Soul Aquarian era, Native Tongue era, Snoop,
And what would you call it?
Sure.
I would say, what would you call the era we are in now? What would you call it?
I think it's an independent era, because a lot of people are way more independent, to the point where people have to pretend they're independent. Like, that's a marketing plan to be like, you're not on a label. So I would call this the independent era, really.
And then describe your core fan base.
No clue. To tell you the truth, I have no clue. That is the question. I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. It changes on me, and I'm always surprised. I'll say, I guess people that like, on one hand, I want to say people that like underground hip hop, but then I'll meet people that don't really listen to underground hip hop, but like us, or only listen to like street rap, but like us, or they only listen to underground hip hop and like us. Like, it just goes in every direction. So I can't really pinpoint it, man. I'm not really sure. I mean, I know we got fans that like a lot of. I mean, we just got all kinds of fans. If everybody, any type of hip hop, you might find us on that iPod too. And that's the thing about us. We've done so many shows with so many different people. I mean, we've done shows with Murs. We've done shows with Big Sean, Mm-hmm. We've done shows with Drake. We've done shows with Pigeon John. Who knows? So, and we seem to find our way. We seem to find where we fit amongst all these people, And
I would say, so how did y'all come up with the name Tanya Morgan?
It goes with the first album, Moonlighting. If you listen to that album, the concept of it was supposed to be a one-off thing, but we ended up getting success from that album, so we decided to stick with it. And the more music we made and the more people knew us from that name, we just, we stuck with it. Just a calling card. Like, I look at it more like almost like a genre, really. Like, you just know, oh, that's Tanya Morgan music, and it fits in with whatever else you listen to, whatever else you're rocking with. But when you hear us, you're like, oh, I know what that is.
Man, what is your favorite song you came out with so far?
Von P and Aeon, Things Have Changed.
All right, then give us your favorite line from that song. And I guess why is that your favorite song? Then give us a line from that song you really like.
I would consider that my calling card record for me. If I had to play a song for anybody that has never heard anything I've done, I feel like that one describes me to a T, in my opinion. It sounds like how I feel in general as a man, and I just think it tells you who I am. You just have to listen to it, and it tells you who I am. And it's not so much it's not like an autobiographical story. It's just like my motto, I guess. And
philosophy.
I would say, just at the end, my last line is, if you didn't learn the hard way, you didn't really learn, kid. And it's like, you have to, people can tell you so many things. I remember coming up and, being down with little brother, and Fonte would be like, Vaughn, man, I can't wait till y'all go through this. So when y'all get your first taste of haters, or you get your first taste of tour life, or this and that, and, the things, his ups and downs, things he would like, things he wouldn't like, and me just being young and wide-eyed was like, nah, it's going to be cool, it's going to be great. And then you get in there and, with somebody that was 2 steps ahead of you just told you, hey, watch out for that step. And you hear them, but you don't, you tell your, it's the story of any kid and an older brother or a parent telling them something, and they say, nah, it's going to be different with me. And then, you take that same step and you trip, and they told you. So I always say, if you did, they say you're going to learn the hard way. And I say, sometimes that's how you have to learn. And I don't mean don't go looking to fall down, but don't expect you to be the person that everything is smooth sailing for. And it's just things like that, like just me talking to myself in a way, and just, like I said, just living my motto through a song.
Man, what are your current projects you're working on right now?
Right now, nothing. Really, I'm just working on promoting the Fiasco album, still promoting the Tanya Morgan album, and just making music. No real project right now.
Now I'm gonna ask you, what do you think one of the number one ways an artist can grow their fan base?
I would say by collaborating with like-minded people, because I do believe power is in numbers, and you collaborate with like-minded people, you'll kind of always be out. Like if you don't have anything out, but the people you collaborate with a lot, you're gonna be fresh on their mind. Like I say, I wish I had a perfect example for you right now, but if let's say Jay-Z puts out an album, it'll make you think about Kanye, what Kanye's doing, or just like or just good music in general. If Big Sean has a new album out, you'll be like, I wonder if Pusha T is on this. I wonder if Common is on this, and it's just everybody keeps everybody's name on your mind, which is real important now. And I really think that's the best way, man, because a lot of people, we've put people on through our music, and people have heard of us through blues music or Fontane's music or whoever we've worked with in the past.
I want you to talk about some of your daily habits and rituals.
Oh, I don't really have one, man. I'm addicted to coffee like everybody else. So my daily ritual, I guess, is coffee, and I try to work.
You make it or you go buy it?
Both. just
Starbucks?
It depends, man. Like if it's, it depends. Not really, but I'm more into the mom and pop joints, because Starbucks is like, it's not bad, but once you go to like the people that really do this, that they got their little corner, joint, and then you go back to Starbucks, it ain't the same. It's like you go to a local burger joint, and then you go back to Burger King, and it's not the same. And same thing when you make it at your house. Sometimes I make it. Today I didn't. I went to like the breakfast joint around the way and had it, and that's really my main ritual, man. I would say one of my rituals was watching Everyday Struggle with Academics and Joe Budden, but now that's over, so that's gone. And that was becoming like my entertainment news every day.
Yeah, they say he I don't know how true it is, but they say he signed a $5 million deal with Revolt. He gonna do a podcast on there.
I would believe that.
Yeah, that's what I just heard today, but I don't know how true it is. But I just actually saw it today. I don't know if it's true.
It probably is. I could see that.
And then what are some of your?
I mean, even if it's not really that much, I bet you he did sign for something, and they telling people it's $5 million, but it's probably like $5 million over 5 years or something. Yeah. But whatever the case, that's dope, and I think he deserved it, man, because a lot of people had their eyes on them this year.
So what do you like the show because of Joe Budden, or you just like the whole show?
I enjoyed the show because it was tackling the generation gap in a cool way, and it just was putting it right there. So that's what was interesting to me, because I feel like if you want to call it era, but like that mid to early 2000s, where it wasn't so much a movement necessarily. It just was like, all these different acts that put music out, and it was right after people stopped going platinum and buying CDs, and right before streaming got crazy, and we were just in the middle, like right in the middle of things. So I don't consider myself new generation or necessarily old generation. So it's interesting watching one side, like, I don't really know too much about, De La Soul or whoever, and seeing the other side, like, I know everything about De La Soul, and I don't really know much about Uzi Vert, for example. And seeing them bump heads, but still find that medium. It was interesting to me because so many times people that are somebody that would be a fan of mine, where years ago it would be, I like y'all and not that stuff on the radio, or not that stuff about money, blah blah blah, and now it's kind of turning into, I like y'all and not those kids. So it went from I guess what we consider the class difference, and now it's like an age difference, and they was attacking it head on, and it was real, to the point that he always gets in beef because he tells you how he really feel about people. So I think that's dope.
What's some of your favorite books you like to read, or you read?
Right now, man, it's just self-help stuff. Speaking of mental health and everything, I've been checking out the 4 Agreements.
I like that book.
Actually, this book called Die Empty that Jazzy Jeff gave me. He just been running, telling everybody to check that one out.
What's the name of it?
Die Empty.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
And I'm drawing a blank on this other. It's like a self-help book. I'm drawing a blank. Let me try to look it up real quick. I have it. I don't have the physical book of it. Oh, Hope and Help for Your Nerves.
Hope and Help.
That's another, dealing with life's anxieties and things like that. And I'm on the self-help tip because this life gets crazy and you need it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. All right, so I'm gonna name some names, and you just tell me who influenced you the most.
Is it like a blank or blank kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So AZ or Nas?
I'm sorry for the dead air. I guess. You know what? In my mind, I think stylistically, I've been more impressed by AZ.
Yeah, that was me too. Good.
Yeah, I like flow wise, stylistically wise. I think I would say AZ more. But of course, Nas being the more popular one, and I grew up on all of Nas's albums more than AZ. But style wise, man, I think I'm gonna say AZ.
All right, Mace or Cameron?
Neither. Early on, man, I like Cameron had a lot of concepts on that first album. We make fun of the cover, but he had a lot of ideas and concepts for a dude that was coming out trying to be mainstream. Like he just went with he talking to the devil on a song.
Oh, you talking about Confessions of Fire?
Yeah, and then he had a song where he was talking he was making the confessional and
the D-Rugs.
Yeah, just a lot of stuff, man. He did a lot on that record. You hear people say, "Oh, your first album takes forever," but that one really sounds like he spent his whole teenage life saying, "Oh, one day I'm gonna make a song about this, and then I'm gonna make a song about that," and he put it all out there. So yeah, I would say that, and Mace. Going back to when I was saying, I didn't differentiate between mainstream and not mainstream. I still think, Feel So Good. I love the rapping on Feel So Good. That first verse, I still think that first verse is crazy. For it to be like a jiggy mainstream pop, hip hop song. But I can't say, and I don't want to sound like a hater, but I still don't totally get why he is so influential to people. You know what I mean? It's bugged out to me because if you really look, his catalog is not super deep like that of songs people know.
I guess, but the ones they know, they know.
Yeah, and I guess so because he, like I say, he can always make a comeback. He done made 4 comebacks, and it's he had the one main album that people know, and I got that on cassette and vinyl, but I still don't think it was so amazing that he's this legend to people. And I don't even mean that in a hating way. I personally don't think he has the catalog to back it. When you really look at it versus other people, I personally feel like.
But but then too, I know, in a lot of interviews, they're saying he wrote a lot of those, like a lot of them Puff Daddy songs. He wrote those songs. Like
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. If I compare him to, like you mentioned AZ earlier, I don't see why he's so much more popular than the AZ just based off songs and skills alone.
Right.
Like he had more commercial appeal, but if that's said, then Ludacris had a lot of commercial appeal. So why don't we talk about Ludacris as much? Nelly had a lot of commercial appeal. Why don't we talk about Nelly as much? Why is it Mace? Like what is it that held on to people so much to the point that they still talk about him becoming the preacher 20 years later and still rap about him and still quote him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't, and I know this probably sounds like I'm hating, but I just don't. I was a fan too, but I wasn't this much of a fan. Like, and Kanye says he's one of his favorite rappers, and I'm like, dude, he had one album at the time. You know?
So, Fabulous or Jadakiss?
I'm gonna have to go with Brooklyn. I'm gonna go with Fabulous.
All right. Big Pooh or Fonte?
I'm gonna say Fonte. I'm inspired by Pooh because Pooh continues to get better, and it's like they like he named his record Sleepers, and they still sleeping on him. Like, dude continues to get better, you know. So, in current day, I'm inspired by him, but I guess also just being he's kind of a mentor as well early on. So I'm going with Tay on that one.
Cardi B or Rhapsody?
Rhapsody.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna say that. What advice would you give to a new artist?
Don't follow anybody, and we still got to give that advice, and we're gonna be giving it forever. But don't follow anybody because
they don't follow back.
Yeah, they don't. No, the thing is, like you're trying to be like somebody else, and if it don't work, you've totally wasted your time. Versus if you do that thing that you really believe in, even if it don't work, you still did that thing you believe in. Versus you got to sit back and like just look at. Perfect example. Look at some of these people that had record deals 10, 15 years ago that had the one hit, and you know. They got signed and gave all their money to the three hot producers at the time, and you never heard from them again.
Oh.
And like now you have this album that nobody cared about, where you was rapping like whoever was hot at the time because you was trying to get on and you didn't get on, and the only thing you have to show for it is your impression of whoever was hot at the time. Like, you know, you have an album where you sound like Jay-Z for the whole album, or you sound like Snoop for the whole album, or whoever, and nobody cared. And now that's what you put into the world.
Yeah.
So, like, versus the people that sat back and made a weird ass, quirky, or just super original, or whatever they felt like doing record, and maybe it didn't work at all, but they can throw that on and be like, man, they slept on this. They was fronting on this.
And what would you like to say to your fans and people that have been supporting your career?
Thank y'all. I don't know how you continue to find us because some people don't. Like, you know, so many people you'll see, they'll be like, man, I'm a big fan. I didn't know y'all had something new out. And, you know, it's super hard to keep everybody aware of your stuff, no matter how many email blasts or whatever you do, you know. So, man, however y'all still getting it, I appreciate y'all, man.
All right, man. I want to say thank you for coming through politicking with me.
Thank you for having me.
You want to tell me your social media and everything?
It's at Von P, VONPEA. Feel free to at me if you are a Super Mace fan and are mad at me now. But same thing, Von P on Instagram, and yeah, that's it. Yeah. And Tanya Morgan. Follow Almighty TM on Instagram.
The PoPolitickin Show is brought to you by Audible. With over 180,000 titles to choose from, Audible is great for any continuous learner wanting to grow and expand their knowledge and insight. Go to www.audibletrial.com/POaudio and get an audiobook of your choice, free with a 30-day trial. After the trial, your paid membership will begin at $14.95 per month. With your membership, you will receive 1 credit every month, good for an audiobook on Audible. Cancel before your trial ends, and you will not be charged. So go to www.audibletrial.com/POaudio and download a free audiobook by Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Napoleon Hill, Les Brown, Damon John, and more. Always remember that knowledge is power.